Am I the asshole? For not taking pictures of my wife at our wedding? So we tied the knot and decided that after saying I do, Sarah and I would each have our own digital camera to take any photos we wanted during the rest of the day to record our own personal memories, then put these in a section of our wedding photo album. It was her idea and I thought it would be fun. Fast forward to us getting these photos developed after the honeymoon. We looked through them together for the first time to summarize. Her photos, me in my suit, me with our goddaughter, me with a few friends, me drunk at the after party. More of guests, decorations, the beautiful cake, but most of them are of me. My photos, a seagull that was perched on the church, some guests, blurry lights, and many silly pictures of my groomsmen. As soon as Sarah saw the pictures I had taken, she was clearly holding back tears, and not happy ones. I asked her what was wrong and she wouldn't tell me at first because she felt embarrassed, but after asking a few more times she admitted that she felt disappointed that I hadn't taken a single picture of her in her dress. I basically told her that I didn't really think to, as anyone who has been to a wedding knows that every camera is pointed to the bride. She replied that she wanted to see herself through my eyes on our wedding day. This conversation went round in circles until she just snapped at me that I found a seagull more noteworthy than my bride on our wedding, and now she's gone to bed angry. I feel like this conversation isn't over, but as it's our first fight as a married couple, I need to know if I'm in the wrong. So, am I the asshole here? I feel like she's overreacting a little. I thought the cameras were intended to record whatever we felt like. I didn't know she'd expect me to take pictures of her. Edit. Info. We did hire a photographer during the ceremony. The cameras were for after. She wanted candid pictures to make memories. I remember her saying she was okay with some being lighthearted. She prefers candid photos because they feel more natural and capture our own memories more. Edit 2. I'm the asshole. And a clueless idiot. From now on I'm going to make up for it with all the candid photos possible, and have noted a few lovely little ideas from commenters. Thank you to all who have judged me. I accept my judgment. Am I the asshole? For kicking a girl out of our body acceptance support group? I'm one of the 2 people in charge of running a body acceptance support group. We hold meetings for free at a community center after closing hours every Saturday. We don't have a sign-up process, you can just show up, write down your name and sit down to share. We make it clear that our support group is made strictly for people with body deformities, amputations, severe scarring, disfigurations of some sort. It is not for people who struggle with self-esteem and need a boost. At our first August meeting, a girl showed up whom we'll call Ashley. There wasn't anything visibly wrong with Ashley, but we didn't give it much thought since in some cases the scarring or whatever else can be hidden underneath clothes. In my case, a long-sleeved shirt hides nearly all of my upper body burn scarring. However, whenever Ashley spoke, she would never mention what she was struggling with, just that she was disgusted with her body. The first 2 sessions, I thought it was fine, to each their pace, and I didn't want to force her to share anything she wasn't comfortable with sharing. Even when we would wrap up the meetings and the members would chat to each other, she didn't reveal what exactly it was that made her seek out our support group. At our 3rd meeting, Ashley showed up wearing a crop top and very short shorts, and again there was nothing visibly wrong. She dodged every question I directed towards her, asking about why exactly she was here, asking her if she was a veteran, if she had a surgery. She left quickly when we wrapped up and I couldn't speak with her. Other members asked me what the deal with her was, since she went on another tangent about how disgusting her body was when it was her turn to speak, without talking about what her physical defect was exactly or how it was impacting her day-to-day life. At last Saturday's meeting, I approached Ashley before the meeting to voice my concerns alongside those of the rest of the members. Ashley responded saying we weren't very nice, and that whenever she would speak up negatively about her body and such, we would never counter her with a compliment. We would just stay silent or tell her some mumbo-jumbo about how it takes time to come to terms with it. I was getting pretty angry, and I directly asked her why is it that she was here, and I told her if she couldn't give me an answer I'm afraid I would have to kick her out. She didn't answer, so I asked her to leave. She contacted my co-runner. He organizes and plans timings, deals with the community center, and he seems to think what I did is not justified, and that I shouldn't turn away anyone or kick them out because of the way they grieve or deal with trauma. When I tried to explain that I doubted she had any physical defects to begin with, he shut it down, saying I'm being an asshole for judging someone as not disabled enough. Am I the asshole for kicking her out? Am I the asshole? For being furious with my sister for spoiling my boyfriend's proposal? My fiancé, boyfriend at the time of this story, of 2 years, told me he had a work trip a couple days ago and that he'd be gone a week. With his job this is normal, so I thought nothing of it. Last night my sister randomly bombarded my phone with pictures and Snapchat videos of him and our older brother who he's pretty close with. This is also kind of ruining something because my brother is in the military and we all thought he was still overseas, in a jewelry store in a mall picking up an engagement ring. I'm furious and I think it's incredibly rude and inappropriate for her to stick her nose where it obviously did not belong. I love my sister and that she loves my fiancé so much and I appreciate how excited she was for me, but this was such a dumb thing to do. I called her and I told her to stay out of our relationship and to mind her own business, and now I feel bad for being mean. For the ages, I'm 25 and she is 19. Am I the asshole? For having the mother of my child arrested? This is such a long story. I don't even know where to begin. Nearly a decade ago I was a young kid in love. The two of us fell hard and fast, and recklessly. Next thing you know we were expecting a child. It was a complicated time. We weren't sure what we wanted in life, but we knew abortion was not an option. So I asked her to marry me and we moved in together. That didn't last long. It turns out we only liked each other when things were fun. When things were difficult we couldn't stand each other. We fought constantly. We thought things would get easier after the birth of our daughter, but that only made it worse. She has postpartum depression and I was working so much to support both of us that I was always tired and miserable. Less than a year after our daughter was born she broke down. She told me she regretted everything and did not want this life. She moved out and went to live with her mom several hundred miles away. From then on it was just my little girl and I. I filed for custody, and won. I never worried about child support from her. It had taken me nearly 2 years to officially get custody. She lived with me the entire time, the state just hadn't made it official. And by that time things were going well. I worked my way up in the industry I was in. I was making nearly twice as much as when she was first born. We were doing okay. Until we weren't. My job paid well but was physically demanding. I was injured and can no longer do that kind of work. I found another job working in an office and I'm happy with it. But the pay isn't nearly as good. My daughter started having seizures. She was in the hospital for a while to get them under control. She has epilepsy. She's doing okay now, but the treatment and medication is more than I can afford with my current job. I had no choice but to file for public assistance. This is where it gets tricky. They said I can't get the assistance unless my child's mother is on child support. Their logic is, why should the state pay when there's another parent who can foot the bill? So I filled out the form and a court date was set. She didn't show up. I'm not sure if she even knew about it. I haven't spoke to her in years and have no clue where she is. I did have her social security number and included it in the paperwork. So the state found her somehow. An order was set for child support and I was granted the assistance. My daughter can see her neurologist regularly and get her medication. However, the child support was never actually paid. After enough months of non-payment, a warrant was issued for my ex's arrest. Before we split, I told her not to worry about support. That I could handle this myself. I'll admit this was said during a fight while I was hurt and being emotional. I really tried to do this on my own but failed. Now I feel like a jerk for going back on my word. Ida? Am I the asshole? For moving my husband into our neglected guest room? When I got married, we were 50-50 across the board. Since I became a solemn, I expect to be in charge of household duties, but I was not expecting my husband to neglect any and all forms of helping out around the house. He literally does not lift a finger to help me out in any way, and I am constantly picking up after him. I finally reached the point of exasperation today where I began moving every item that he owns into our neglected guest room that he uses for his hobbies. I anticipated him being pissed about it, so I made him a bed as well and am bringing down a nightstand for him. I have tried communicating with him for 2.5 years now, but he just adamantly refuses to contribute, or he will do a load of dishes once a month to say I'm making the best effort I can offer. We have a big home and 3 kids and my mental health suffers between being treated like a 50s housewife, and being physically incapable of keeping up with everything without help. We can't fit a maid in our budget, and this is my last attempt to get him to pull up his socks before I just up and leave. So, Ida, because he is guilting me, heart. Edit, I provide half of our income. When my dad passed away, I became one of 3 majority shareholders of his company. Sorry for any confusion. Edit, he read this post at work and apparently I don't clean enough during the day if I can spend time on Reddit. He told me that I won't be getting a second of his time anymore because he will be helping around the house instead. I suggested we just spend a few minutes tidying up together once the kids are in bed so we can still spend some time together, but it was all or nothing, so I chose the option that didn't render me a servant. Anyways, I just want to sincerely thank everyone who offered some positivity and reassurance today. It is very much appreciated.